To make the dough, add 3 cups of flour to a large bowl. Make a little space in the center of the flour, crack an egg into the middle, add 1 teaspoon of salt, 2 tablespoons of neutral oil, and mix it a little bit with a spoon or a fork. Add a little bit of water at a time. You're going to add about 1/2 cup to 3/4 cup of warm water. Continue mixing and adding a little bit of water at a time until you have a shaggy dough. Eventually, you're going to start using your hands to continue kneading the dough. And eventually, you're going to place it onto a hard surface with flour to continue kneading the dough. It's always easier to make the dough drier than it is to make it wetter. I let my husband do this part because he has very strong hands and a little bit more patience for the amount of kneading involved. Usually you want to knead this dough for about 15 minutes to really build up some elasticity and some strength. Once your dough is really supple and soft and it bounces back once you poke it, you're going to make it into a nice smooth ball and let it rest for about 1/2 hour in a towel, or sometimes we even use plastic wrap. Once the dough has rested, it's time to roll it out. I really like this plastic mat because it doesn't stick to the table and I don't have to add a lot of flour. You're going to roll it out pretty thin, but also be careful not to make it too thin. This is about 1/4 of the dough. You could do it in thirds or quarters, I would recommend, at a time. Continue flipping it and adding a little bit of flour as you need. We'll show you another method of rolling it out with the pasta machine if you would prefer that. To make pelmeni or uszki, you want to make a pretty small circle, and I find that a champagne glass is perfect. So use the champagne glass to twist and make an imprint all the way through the dough, and make the circles as close together as you can. For this recipe, you're going to need 1 pound of ground meat. We are using ground beef with very thinly sliced up onions, salt and pepper, and cilantro. This is actually 2 pounds that you see here because we're making a double portion of this recipe. So yours will probably look less if you're just doing 1 pound. Next, you're gonna fill each circle with a little bit of meat. Using your hands is probably the best option here, so have a paper towel or towel, something nearby in case your hands start to get really slimy. Make sure you start with clean hands and you clean them afterwards. But once your meat's in the circle, you're going to fold it in half. Sometimes you have to pull it before you are able to pinch it, as you can see, and you're going to pinch it really tight. And then take the two ends and just bring them together to make a cute little circle shape. If one side of the dough is stickier, then use that side to fill. It will be easier to fold and press together. And if neither side is sticky, then you can use a little bit of water on one edge to fold and press together. You'll place the finished pelmeni on a floured cutting board so that they don't stick to the board or to each other, and that they're out of your way to make the rest of them. If you have a pasta machine, you can also roll out your dough in the pasta machine. It might look a little wrinkly at first, as you can see, but as you continue rolling it through the machine, it will start to smooth out. Follow your machine's instructions, folding the dough in half and then rolling it through. You're going to continue changing it through the settings as you go gradually, ending up on around a 4. That's what it is on our machine. I'm not sure it's any faster doing it this way, but possibly more consistent. Once you have a full cutting board of pelmeni, you can place them in the freezer. And if you're going to have more than that, once they're frozen, you can start stacking them more. This is our double batch that you see. That's why we have so many. And eventually, once they're completely frozen, you can even put them in a plastic bag. You can leave them in the freezer for a bit or start boiling them already. To cook the pelmeni, you want to bring a large pot of water to a boil. Again, we have some spices in our water, that's why it looks not clear. There's some bay leaves and I think some chipotle, but you can just use plain water. I wouldn't recommend broth because you're going to dump the water out anyway. Put them in a bit at a time. Try not to overload it. Make sure the water is salted as well. And once they have floated to the surface a bit and they look like they are done, then you can spoon them out. The best way to eat pelmeni is in a soup or a broth. So here we just have a broth with some chopped up herbs and a little bit of vinegar. We didn't have any sour cream, but sour cream is delicious with this if you want to add it in. The whole process takes a little bit of time, but it's completely worth it because this food is so comforting and delicious. Enjoy!